Go.
In Catalhoyuk, Turkey, you were buried in the floorboards. Now, that was more like the fifth step in the process. First, you would be eaten by vultures, and then you would be wrapped in cloth, put in the fetal position, and then you'd be put in the floorboards. It's kind of touching because your family would want you nearby. That's what I'm here to talk to you about today, or talk to you today about. Burials. Ancient burials, burials today, and natural burials today in Pennsylvania. Ancient burials have been pretty odd. In A History of Funeral Rites by Anthony Martin, he tells us that the oldest intentional burial we have found is a burial 10,000 years ago that dates back to 10,000 years ago in Israel. In India, Joshua Mark tells us in an article simply titled Burial that they would take their dead and put them into a river that was thought to be the place that all life came from. In Scotland and Ireland, they had multiple different types of markers, including small stones stacked in a big spire, larger stones stacked in something that looked like a pie symbol, and underground tombs that looked like a hobbit hole. In the Americas, Native American tribes, some would wait a long time until burying their dead, and some would bury them immediately. There was a southern Moor tribe. Anthony Martin tells us that this southern tribe would turn their dead into mummies due to their frigid altitude, and they would then talk to these mummies, asking them for advice and giving them and confiding in them. Moving on to more modern burial techniques, Leon Pott tells us in 6 Funeral Trends that are changing death rituals that cremation, water cremation, and green burials are becoming more prominent. Cremation in 1970 was only used by 5% of the population. In 2017, it rose to 55% of the population and is expected to grow by 2030 to 71%. This is because it is way cheaper than being buried in the ground, and it also uses less resources like stone and wood. Water cremation dissolves all of the soft tissue except for, it leaves only your bones, and then your bones are crushed into ash like you would think when you visualize cremation. Mm-hmm. This is a more eco-friendly way to be buried or get your remains. Green burials are just your body in a biodegradable box that's then put in the ground, and this is considered a more return to the ancient ways. That brings me to my final point. Green burials just in Pennsylvania, more natural burials in Pennsylvania. Sarah Madison Isle tells us in, again, something just simply called green burials in Pennsylvania, that green burial or green funeral is defined simply as not being embalmed in a biodegradable container, no vault, which means that your coffin's put in a big concrete box, and you're put in a specific site. So these specific sites can be put into 3 different categories: a hybrid site, a natural site, and a conservation site. So a hybrid site has both natural burials and regular burials. A natural site has just natural burials, and a conservation site has natural burials, and then they conserve the nature, so they plant trees on top of you, etc. The laws around natural burials today are kind of wishy-washy. It depends on the cemetery you're in. They have different rules. In conclusion, I talked to you about ancient burials, modern day burials, and green burials today in Pennsylvania. I hope you're now thinking about being buried, but don't worry about it too much. It's hopefully a long way away.
Very good.